All right, now we are going to learn the reaction of alkali with acid. So whenever any alkali is reacted with an acid, so basically alkali is, here the example is calcium hydroxide. So calcium hydroxide is the alkali and the acid is H2SO4, which is known as sulfuric acid. So calcium hydroxide reacts with sulfuric acid in this reaction. So whenever any alkali reacts with an acid, we always get salt and water. We always get salt and water. All right. So how do we construct the salt from the equation? So metal basically replaces hydrogen of an acid. So this is the metal. It will replace hydrogen of an acid. So all right. So it will become Ca, calcium, Ca. Now it replaces the hydrogen. It comes in the place of hydrogen. So it will be attached with SO4, CaSO4. So it would be calcium sulfate. And the formula of water we already know, which is H2O. All right. So how do we know that this is read as calcium sulfate? So naming way of salts is very simple. So whenever we need to name any salt, so first portion comes of the metal. So first portion of it represents the metal. Okay, so we read it as calcium. We read it as the name of the metal is calcium. Okay, so first portion is calcium and second is basically the anion. Second is we write the name of the anion. So this anion is read as sulfate. This anion is read as sulfate. So that's why it is read as calcium sulfate. So naming way of salt is metal anion. So metal anion is a general formula of it, like general way of writing, general way of naming any salt. For example, here it is sulfate, so that's why it is calcium sulfate. Okay, so first portion of metal and second portion of the anion, which is in the reaction. This reaction is known as neutralization reaction. This reaction is basically known as neutralization. So alkali acid reaction, when they produce salt and water only, whenever they produce salt and water only, so this is known as neutralization reaction. Okay, so ionic equation of this would be, so in a neutralization reaction, H positive ions from the acid, H positive ions from the acid, H positive ions and OH negative ions, hydroxide ions from the alkali, they combine together to form water. All right, so it would be H positive ion from the acid, OH negative ion from the alkali, they both combine together and produce water. So aqueous, so ions are always aqueous, in aqueous state, and this makes a liquid. So this is the ionic equation for any neutralization reaction which we need to memorize. It might be asked in exam. All right, please note it down. So basically ionic equation, by the name ionic equation, ion means charged particles, like positive or negative charged substances, right? Those are ions. So ionic equations involve the presence of ions, which is positive and negative charges. So here, H positive ion from an acid reacts with OH negative ion from an alkali, and they combine together to form water. So we call it as ionic equation. We call this kind of equation as ionic equation because it involves ions, because it involves, this is ionic equation as it involves ions. All right, please note it down.